This is Cannaday, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Star-Lord Hero Pack for Marvel Champions. Let's get into it. Alright, let's take a look at Star-Lord here. We'll start with Peter Quill. He has a recovery of 3, hand size of 6, hit points of 10. And at the setup, you search your deck or discard pile for a copy of Element Gun upgrade and add it to your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. And then he is a Smooth Talker. As an action, choose a card in your hand and swap it with the top card of your deck. So it allows you to mix up the cards you have a little bit there. And then on the hero side here, of course, Star-Lord. 2 thwart, 2 attack, 1 defense, so pretty average there. But now he has a hand size of 5, of course in Hero More, that's pretty standard. And then each ally you control gains the Guardian trait. He has the leadership aspect, so hey, maybe we'll be able to utilize that a little bit. And then what would go wrong? This is my favorite right here. Interrupt. When you play a card from your hand, deal yourself 1 face-down encounter card. That sounds terrible. Reduce the resource cost to play that card by 3. Limit once per round. So he's able to basically get cards that cost 3 or more into play much easier, but he ends up having to draw an encounter card. So he's able to kind of like cheat cards into play, but encounter cards are going to be happening, which could be pretty terrible for you. And then speaking of the Element Gun, here's the Element Gun here. This basically is a 3-cost upgrade, which of course would be free if you used his thing there, but you'd have an encounter card. And it is Element Gun, restricted, max 2 restricted cards per player. Exhaust the Element Gun and spend 1 resource of any type to deal 3 damage to an enemy. This attack gains piercing. So hey, you're going to be able to spend resources to attack bad guys, and it's going to go through their toughness. That seems pretty good to have in play at the start of the game, and you just continue to do 3 extra damage with that. There's actually 2 of those cards in the deck, so you could be dealing lots of damage by using his element guns. Then Star-Lord's helmet. This is a 1-cost upgrade, so not too much. While you are in hero form, you get +1 hand size for each face-down encounter card in front of you. Of course, if you use the what could go wrong, you'll have some of those. And to a maximum of 3. So if you build up a bunch of encounter cards in front of you, you'll be able to draw up more cards and have a bigger hand size in Star-Lord hero form. Then Leader of the Guardians is another 3-cost upgrade. Each Guardian character you control gets +1 thwart. So the fact that you make all of your characters that you control Guardians, you're basically going to make, and any other Guardian players that are at the table, they're going to get +1 thwart. So this could be huge. Well, not the others at the table, because it's the ones you control, but all of your allies are going to be able to have +1 thwart, so you're going to be able to take out those schemes hardcore. Upgrade 2 Jet Boots. Star-Lord gains the aerial trait, which could be important. Hero Interrupt. When Star-Lord would take any amount of damage, exhaust Jet Boots, prevent 1 of that damage for each face-down encounter card in front of you. This is another card that utilizes those face-down encounter cards that you're going to be building up as the game goes along. Daring Escape. This is a 0-cost event. This card is crazy, but very dangerous. Hero Action. Deal yourself 1 face-down encounter card. Ready your hero and draw a card. So it costs nothing, and you get to replace it by drawing another card, but you also get to ready your hero. Seems pretty good, but you're dealing yourself an encounter card. So these encounter cards can build up pretty quickly and can be very dangerous if you make it to the encounter phase of the villain. Then Sliding Shot. This is a 3-cost. Play if you control the Element Gun. So you have to at least have your Element Gun in play for this card to even work. And this attack deals 5 damage. Cool. To an enemy. Then deal 2 additional damage to that enemy for each face-down encounter card in front of you. So if you're playing a bunch of Daring Escapes, or you're doing stuff to cheat cards into play, you're going to have these encounter cards in front of you, and this card could deal massive amounts of damage. But the day of reckoning will come if you're not able to defeat the villain in time. Then Gutsy Move. Here's a card, 2-cost event, hero action. It is a thwart. Remove 2 threat from the scheme. Remove 2 additional threat from the scheme for each face-down encounter card in front of you. So all this stuff is rewarding you for having those encounter cards. But of course, encounter cards, as we know, are not a good thing. Then a 3-cost support, Bad Boys, so you can put this into play. Then Hero Interrupt, when you would take any amount of damage from a villain attack, discard this card, prevent all of that damage, change to alter ego form, and draw 2 cards. So basically, the villain attacks you, you discard this, you run away, you get to draw 2 extra cards, and you're not going to take any of that damage. This could be huge if you get it into play at the right time. This would be one that I'd probably cheat into play if I didn't have anything else to do, and I was worried about the villain hitting me hard for 1 turn. And having those 2 cards for the next turn is going to be great. Then we have an awesome ally here, Nova Prime. Cost 5, which seems really hard to pull off, but the fact that Star-Lord can make him cost 3 less means he would only cost 2 and an encounter card. 2 thwart, 3 attack. After you play Nova Prime from your hand, defeat a non-elite minion. Just straight up take a minion out. This could be perfect at the right time. You could really take somebody good out. Then another 5-cost ally, Beta Ray Bill. 1 thwart, 3 attack. Response: after Beta Ray Bill attacks and defeats a minion, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. This worked great for me last time I played the game because I was making sure that Beta Ray Bill was the one that was defeating the minions, and I was also removing threat from the scheme. I think Beta Ray Bill is great. Then Adam Warlock, a 3-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, but then he has a response that says, after Adam Warlock thwarts, discard 1 card at random from your hand. Which of course we know, you're playing cards out. After you've paid 3 to put Adam Warlock out, you could make sure you have a certain type of card in your hand. If it's random, it might not be as random as you think. Then for the fighting, you remove 3 threat from a scheme. For the energy, you heal 3 damage from an identity. For the science resource, you deal 3 damage to an enemy, and if it's wild, you just get to choose one of the above. So he can be very versatile when he thwarts or attacks if you set it up just right and make sure you have the right card in your hand to do the thing you want to do. And then Yondu, he is a 4-cost ally. He's 2 thwart and 1 attack. And it says Yondu gains ranged and has only 2 hit points. When I first was playing this, I drew Yondu and I'm like, why is he so expensive? I understood Star-Lord can cheat him into play. Why would he be so expensive? The thing you have to note here, the reason that he costs 4, even with the stats and the abilities he has, is that his attack here doesn't have any consequential damage. So once you get Yondu in play, you could continue to attack with Yondu without him disappearing off the board from taking consequential damage. And the fact that he has range means that he's going to be able to hit those guys for retaliate without hurting his own hit points. So Yondu's really cool because he's going to be that constant 1 damage, and if you really need him to block, he can end up blocking and things like that. Blaze of Glory. This is a 2-cost event, max 1 per round. Hero action. Each Guardian character gets +2 thwart and +2 attack this phase. At the end of the phase, deal 1 damage to each Guardian character. This would be great in multiplayer, but also because all the allies you control gain the Guardian trait. This means that all of your allies will be able to get +2 thwart and +2 attack. But at the end of the phase, deal 1 damage to each Guardian character. So this could wreck your allies as well. So you have to be very careful. It's a Blaze of Glory. Maybe, hopefully you can go out in a Blaze of Glory and actually take out the villain with that. Air Supremacy. This is a 2-cost event. Choose up to X enemies where X is equal to the number of aerial characters you control in play. Deal 3 damage to each chosen enemy. So if you get a bunch of aerial, you could end up taking stuff out. Then Laser Blaster. This is a 1-cost upgrade. This is pretty cool. You can attach to a Guardian ally. So it can only be used with Guardians. Of course, Star-Lord makes people Guardians. Max 1 per ally. Attached character gets +1 attack, and its attacks gain overkill. That seems awesome to be able to do extra attack and then be able to push that attack through to the villain if you end up doing more than the minion's health. Then a 0-cost support. This is target practice. When an ally has a weapon upgrade, makes an attack, discard target practice, that ally gets +2 for that attack. And this is a support card, so you can put it into play and save it for a little bit until you had the correct ally to do it. The fact that it costs 0 and gives you +2 attack seems pretty good. And you're being able to use that ally to do it. So you get 3 of those. And then Get Ready, we've seen before. Ready's an ally. And then Power of Leadership, we've seen before, makes it cheaper to play leadership cards. Then we have a Cosmo, which is another ally here, 2-cost, 1 thwart, 1 attack. It is a Guardian character. When Cosmo attacks or thwarts, name a card type. Then discard the top card of your deck. If that card of the name type, Cosmo does not take consequential damage. Use the damage under thwart or attack for this use. So Cosmo is a 2 cost that has 1 and 1 and costs 2, but you could make it so that his hit points stay around a little bit longer so you don't take consequential damage if you can guess the correct card on top of your deck. Which, not to mention that Star-Lord's ability here where you can swap the top card of your deck could combo with Cosmo very well, since it won't be a guess if you know exactly what the top card of your deck is with your Peter Quill ability there. Then Nowhere, this is a unique support that costs 2. Play only if your DNA has Guardians. Increase your ally limit by 1. Response: after a player plays a Guardian ally, exhausts Nowhere, that player draws a card. Of course, Star-Lord's going to make all of your characters Guardians, so that helps. Then CITT. This is a support ship here. It is a hero action, exhaust it, and then spend 2 resources of any type to ready a Guardian character. So you can unexhaust your hero. If you have resources you can use, you can get your heroes back to be able to go in there for more. Pulse Grenade is a 2-cost upgrade. This is pretty cool. Hero action. Discard Pulse Grenade, so you can have it in play and then discard it when you think it's best. Discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. So this is the villain encounter deck there. Deal 1 damage to the chosen enemy this way for each boost icon discarded. So this gives me very much a Scarlet Witch vibe with discarding the top of the encounter deck and using the little boost icons there to do extra damage. So you get 3 of those. And then let's look at Star-Lord's obligation here. So I don't go too much into like the obligation and the nemesis and stuff like that, just because I like people to be able to discover that on their own. But this basically does a lot of what the things normally do. You can basically flip to alter ego and exhaust Peter Quill to banish it, or you could discard the element gun from play and place 3 threat on the main scheme to discard it if you want to stay in Star-Lord form, which would be really gross. Then Mr. Knife is his main guy. He has Retaliate, and the first treachery that engages a player revealed this villain turn gains Surge. So as you're getting more of those treacheries and more of those encounter cards out there, things gaining Surge will be even worse. And of course, there's a bunch of different terrible things that can happen to you here. Let's look at a couple of the other cards. Dive Bomb is a 4-cost event you can only play if you have the aerial trait. Deal 7 damage to the enemy. Deal 1 damage to each other enemy. So if you have aerial, you're able to pull off Dive Bomb. That's pretty hardcore. So of course you get 3 of those. And then Agile Flight, play only if you have aerial. Remove a total of up to 5 threats from among schemes. So we're given a ton of cards here that are going to help out with the aerial trait, which we've been looking for even with the Avengers stuff. Then Ever Vigilant, play only if you have aerial. Ready your hero, remove 2 threat from the main scheme. That's a hero action event there. And then the last one here is Enchanted Awareness. We've had this card before. It's 2 cost. Exhaust it to remove 1 mental counter from it, and you generate a science resource. So that's basically all of these Star-Lord cards there. Let's take a look at what I think. So Star-Lord is definitely a very interesting and unique character for Marvel Champions. He has basically a main ability that allows you to kind of cheat cards into play. He reduces the cost of them by 3, but then you're going to end up having to draw an encounter card. But this is very interesting because it allows you to play a lot higher cards than you normally could with some of the other characters, because he's going to make it go down by 3 and then you can pay extra cards. So you can end up getting like 5 costs, or you can pay 3 cost cards for free. He's going to have crazy bombastic turns, but you're going to be drawing a bunch of those encounter cards. A lot of his other cards trigger off of how many encounter cards you currently have in play, so it kind of behooves the combos if you're able to get a bunch of those out. But the day of reckoning is probably going to come if you end up having to draw all of those encounter cards during the villain phase, which you normally will unless you're able to end the villain. I think he's going to lead to crazy, interesting play, and I feel like in multiplayer, a lot of the other players might be upset with you about how chaotic and how much you're pressing your luck, which makes a lot of sense for Star-Lord, just because it's very interesting how they have taken these different special abilities bodies and different things like that, just pieces of paper, and made it feel like the actual character in the Marvel universe, basically. Star-Lord's known as this like crazy outlaw who's going around doing insane things and probably getting himself into a lot of trouble. This guy's gonna get himself into a lot of trouble, not only with all the encounter cards you're drawing, but probably the other players at the table are gonna be like, dude, calm down, stop, you're gonna wreck us if you draw too many of those. I think it's really cool because a lot of his stuff, he can do extra damage, he can draw extra cards with his helmet and things like that, depending on the encounter cards he has out there. There's also leadership aspect. He has some really cool allies in the deck, which are a lot of fun, which just makes him awesome for leadership because he's able to cheat those cards in and get those characters out there. Maybe he can line up some stuff, do some combos with his different guardians. He also makes all the characters in his deck into guardians, which allows you to combo with all the different guardian stuff. So the leadership aspect makes it really cool, but at the same time, you're always tempted to be cheating those cards in or playing cards to unexhaust and draw extra. There's so many cool things here. I think it's going to lead to a lot of games where basically the villain is kind of low and you think you can take him out if you do a bunch of crazy combos and draw a bunch of extra events, and you're going to be playing all this stuff out, and sometimes you'll be able to wreck it and you won't have all of those encounter cards come out and mess up your day. But then other times you might be 1 or 2 hit points off, like I was last time I tried, and I was like, I didn't quite get there, I just have to survive. And it's like, oh, he attacks me, oh, he does this, and died. There's going to be a lot of swingy games with Star-Lord. I don't know if he's the best hero overall just because that temptation is so high, but if you're very if you think about it a lot, like I had this angst of like, do I go hard with Star-Lord this turn? Do I just go all out and hope that I don't die? And that temptation is real, but it makes you feel like you're playing as Star-Lord, which is crazy. So kudos to the designers for that. I've definitely had a lot of fun playing the Star-Lord deck. It's crazy interesting, press your luck. And if it seems like something you'd be into, a little bit more chaotic play, but being able to play a lot more bigger cards, but then there might also be consequences for that, check out Star-Lord. There's a lot of good cards in here, especially stuff that combos with Guardians very well. Make sure to check it out. This is going to get an excellent from me, the Star-Lord Hero Pack for Marvel Champions. Let me know which Guardian you're most excited about. I'm playing through all the different ones. There's a ton of fun ones. Make sure to leave that in the comments down below. And make sure to check out my other reviews for Marvel Champions and everything here on the Dice Tower. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Roy Cannaday. I'll see you on the next one.